to get all of my documents in order, you know? I had to go appear in front of a judge and get my name and my gender changed. Non-binary people never had to do that, which is why I would like to declare that non-binary people are the undocumented immigrants of the transgender community. They're taking our jobs, they're taking our pronouns.
I used to be afraid of stepping on people's toes. After interning for the late Joan Rivers, I step with my heels, baby.
Give it up for the beautiful, the sweet, the genuine Ashley Ryan!
For this year on Valentine's Day, when my friend invited me to my very first transgender orgy, I decided to take one for the team, you know. I asked my friend, I was like, are there gonna be cis men at this transgender orgy? Like, I don't really hook up with other trans people. He's like, yeah. It's mostly cis men. It just happens to be a trans theme for the night. I'm like, okay. And so we get to Brooklyn. And what's obvious is that it was mostly transgender people, but what wasn't obvious was which way they were transitioning. I was like, you started where? And you're going where? I kind of felt like a colorblind person at a gender reveal party. It's like, the confetti is gray. Is Grandpa the father? But everyone's clapping, so yay, it's all in the family, yes. Good old Southern gender reveal, but there was something very strange about this transgender sex party. There was a lot of non-binary people there. Yeah. Do non-binary people really count as trans? Okay, hear me out for a second. I had to go to a therapist and get a letter. That way I could go to a doctor, get put on hormones, and then pay a shit ton of money for plastic surgery. I'm like, all non-binary people had to do was get a Pokemon tattoo. And a septum piercing, and call it a day. And I had to get all of my documents in order, you know? I had to go appear in front of a judge and get my name and my gender changed. Non-binary people never had to do that, which is why I would like to declare that non-binary people are the undocumented immigrants of the transgender community. They're taking our jobs, they're taking our pronouns. How the hell are you supposed to decide what you want for dinner if you can't even decide what gender you are? But you should have seen these non-binary people having sex. I mean, I've never seen so many baristas f*** each other. It was like Starbucks gone wild. They're like, would you like the cream on top? Yeah, would you like a little heart shape? But here's the thing that no one will ever tell you about f***ing your barista. If you f*** your barista, they're still not gonna get your name right, okay? It's gonna be spelled wrong and everything, so. Is it really worth the efforts, and why do my fingers taste like caramel, okay? So when you first start out in comedy, you get to do a really fun thing called bringer shows, which is where basically you have to go out and invite a lot of people and sell tickets, mostly to your friends and family, in order for you to get to perform at a club for 5 minutes and not get paid. I was booked for a bringer show the other day, and when my audience didn't show up, they said, you can't perform. And when I say they, I mean another transgender person was the gatekeeper. I was like, excuse me, if you want people to actually think you're a woman, you gotta live by girl code, okay? And if girl code is here, trans code is up here. Trans women were the first people to throw bricks at the police officers at the Stonewall riots, okay? Yeah, it's true. And that was to protect the gays. That wasn't even for our own kind, but many conservatives believe that they can get rid of transgender people by taking away our rights, when in reality, the only thing that could possibly take down the entire transgender community as a whole is if any two transgender women get into the pettiest of arguments, okay? Because when two trans girls fight with one another, it's like he, her, shima. I recently got my passport renewed so that I could attend Amsterdam Pride this summer, yes. And to my surprise, my passport came back within a week. And so I excitedly opened it just to check out my most certainly not Facetune self-submitted photo. It looked great, but then I noticed that they had changed my gender. Yeah. I had a female passport for 10 years, then the Trump administration changed it all the way back to male. But like the thing is with that, as Americans, everybody knows the rule. You cannot change someone's gender without having a gender reveal party. And so that's exactly what I did. For Trans Day of Visibility, I had my very own gender reveal party called the Doll Walk, where it took place in Central Park, where I appeared as a man, topless, with 50 other transgender women who marched all the way to Trump Tower to thank him for changing our genders back to men, giving us our topless titty rights back. And it was a great day. It was a lot of fun. But somewhere in front of the Apple store on 5th Avenue, I got a whisper in my ear from one of our security details. They said that Secret Service was aware of us, and they had completely shut down the entire area in front of Trump Tower, and we weren't going to be able to do our protest there. So instead, we did it at the next best thing, the Prada store. But I was like, why is Secret Service afraid of a bunch of transgender topless women? I mean, did they think we were all armed with bottles of ketchup? I'm like, that's not a bottle of ketchup in my front pocket. But if you tap it a couple times on the 57, something might come out. But anyway, we had a lot of fun chants that day. We chanted, "Boys will be boys." Yeah, that's what happens when you let a comedian be in charge of a protest. Yeah, everyone just gets very confused. Probably these topless people shouting at me. But I think I speak for all transgender women when I say this, but we will gladly identify as men, so long as Donald Trump identifies as a sex offender. Boys will be boys.